Hello everyone, and welcome to the Pancake Parlay episode 20. We're like in double digits, but like with the 2 in front. I am your host, The Don, and I'm here with Chatters. How are you today?
I am quite well.
That sounds like a pretty casual, I am well, thank you very much,
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Today we're going to talk about some video games like Mass Effect. We're going to talk about some anime discussions as well, as we're also going to do a Tomb Raider review. And that's probably what we're going to start doing now.
We actually went and watched Tomb Raider together. Isn't that cute?
Yeah, we didn't share any popcorn because, come on, who really buys popcorn at the movies, honestly?
I don't know, a lot of people do. I think, if it wasn't for the fact that, buying popcorn is way overpriced and where, cinemas really make a lot of their money, if it was cheaper, I'd get it. I know in America, a lot of the, while it is more expensive than usual for popcorn there's at least like a variety and a lot more like value for what you pay for. Also, they also have like a butter machine where you can like put like the butter on your popcorn.
Oh yeah,
how much you want and
I
stuff.
I did that. Funny story.
Yeah.
I was in the US. I saw a few movies in the US, like Star Trek, I think Beyond, the third one. Pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, Beyond's good. It's
I don't know why people I don't know why people don't like it that much.
What, number 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people like number 3 from memory.
I don't know. I think it lost a lot of steam for some reason. But anyways,
it did feel like an episode of Star Trek that was like a long episode
and had
not
like
in
a budget.
A bad way. Yeah, not in like a bad way, but it was just like it's just like a big episode of like Star Trek.
Yeah. But I was watching Suicide Squad in the US, and I remember I got a popcorn and then I filled it up with that butter. I just filled it up. I'm like, yeah, you can refill it any time. So I'm like, okay, then I understand why you guys get fat really easily. So that explains it.
It's one of the several reasons, I guess. Not that we can really talk. I think Australia is quite fat as well. I remember at one stage we were more
per capita
than America. Yeah. So
that was kind of creepy. Anyways, Tomb Raider. So I'll just read the plot summary from IMDb. Lara Croft, the fiercely independent daughter of a missing adventurer, must push herself beyond her limits when she finds herself on the island where her father disappeared. Or, what I like to call it is, Tomb Raider, the 2013 video game, the movie. That's basically the movie.
Yeah, more or less. Like there's a little bit of like differences between the game and the movie, and I definitely know because I actually recently played Tomb Raider as of last year.
So it's all fresh in the memory.
Yeah, so it's very fresh. There's the concept of like Himiko. So basically, Lara Croft. Her father went on an expedition and never came back home. And so
it's like the extreme version of, hey, my dad got a pack of cigarettes and he never came back.
Left. Yeah. It's very elaborate. So Lara, basically, she puts off, accepting her father's will and inheriting, his fortune, but eventually does so. And as she does, she finds out a lot more new information about where her dad went, and starts embarking on a quest to find her dad. And she goes into it's an island off Japan, right?
Yeah,
like a fictional island off Japan.
Yeah, because Himiko is like a Japanese goddess. I'm assuming the goddess of like death, and basically it revolves around them trying to find her tomb and kind of get her remains. Which once again, I never really understood. I guess the bad guy's antagonist of that. I'm like, okay, so you're trying to get her remains because you want to put it in an exhibition and be rich. Then you find out later on that actually no, I won't spoil anything. But yeah, you find out certain stuff.
Yeah. So the basis of them actually getting Himiko is because they say that they might be able, or like the organization that hires the main antagonist. They like kind of supernatural artifacts and because Himiko, I think she's the queen. She's actually the queen of Yamatai, which is the fictional island. And yeah, like with that, they want to kind of capture that ability, this secret organization. I'm not a big kind of like I never played the original Tomb Raiders. I had like some family members who loved the original ones.
Very hard to play these days.
Yeah. Well, you can just backflip everywhere. Like in those games, I remember that was like really fun to do with the old games. But the new game, the 2013 one, is a lot more grounded, more like I guess Arkham like in terms of fighting, like sometimes. But then like it has like all the guns and crossbows and I don't know, like yeah, she could do a lot of stuff.
It's very like yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like this movie, like as you said, is very much like an homage or like a direct adaptation of that game.
Yeah, it definitely lifted some set pieces from it. Like even like I remember, I was like, yeah, what I remember from the game was there's an evil Japanese lady woman. There was a plane involved. There was also something got to do with like a river and parachute, and basically all that happened in the movie. So I'm like, okay. Yeah. The only thing that they really didn't put in was like a lot of the hardcore, I guess, supernatural elements, which I think a lot of people kind of lost, kind of like some weird interest when they played the game. And what in the game they had like a whole group of friends, and then you had to rescue them. But there was only one guy that Lara meets, which is Lu Ren, who's actually played by Daniel Wu, who's in a good show called Into the Badlands, which is coming back soon. So I'll probably talk about that soon enough. But yeah, and I think the substitute works pretty well instead of just having a whole group of friends and things like that. It does show she has a group of friends on like when she's in England, but it's more, I guess, her individual story trying to find her father, I guess.
I was going to say, how did you feel about the beginning of the movie, which was a lot more about the character being in England and I guess her being English rather than like on her adventure trying to find her dad?
Yeah. Well, let's see. I didn't really mind it that much, but like at the same time, I feel like it doesn't really need to be there. Like my pitch for the film would literally be like it just starts like it does some exposition of because it does this whole exposition about who Himiko is, the island, her dad, and I feel like it should just start when she's on the boat, and then all of a sudden it gets shipwrecked and kind of goes from there, and kind of like starts it off really intensely high-packed instead of, I guess, kind of building up to it, which the movie did. But, that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, in the game, that's literally how it starts. So, I mean...
Well, that's the thing. You can't take away too much control. Like, if you're playing a game, right, like, you want to start playing straight away instead of being like, oh, we're gonna collect some shit before we do this,
I don't know. Some movies definitely go hard at the beginning. Like, I look to like Star Wars, for example. Like, shit goes like crazy, like right at the beginning, right at the get-go to get you like drawn to attention. And I think maybe another good comparison would be Indiana Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because Tomb Raider and Indiana Jones, very it was inspired by Indiana Jones. And I guess the game has kind of like transformed a lot more, like to be having its own personal identity, I guess, over the years. But Indiana Jones, I think every movie from memory starts off with like a high impact scene. Maybe it's a Spielberg thing,
Yeah, well, his Ready Player One is like pretty much out right now, so that's something we're gonna do.
True. We need to get on that soon.
Yeah, we're gonna watch the movie that's a homage to Steven Spielberg, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How meta, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually didn't mind the kind of stuff happening in England, but it is kind of removed from the rest of the movie because you kind of see, she's got all these friends and like, the courier, like the place where because she's a bike courier, and kind of like, what is it, like an Uber or like a,
it reminds me of that movie. Have you ever watched the movie Premium Rush?
No, I haven't.
Oh, it's literally about a bike courier, and then he has a package that someone's trying to get, and he has to like literally go on his bike and run away. It's all right.
Right, sure.
It's all right, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a very solid like concept. And in that, like, they have that here. Like, she is like a Deliveroo driver or a Foodora driver, is what we call it here in
Foodora.
Australia. Yeah, Foodora. Yeah, I know it sounds like Fedora, like,
I
but
think they did that on purpose, 100%.
no, I wish they didn't. But yeah, and so she's like delivering these like food to people, and like there's like a hint of, oh, like the guy who works there like kind of likes her, and I was like, oh, okay, like is he going to be involved at all, or and is any of the people she's talking to like at her work, are they going to be? No, they're just like there. She knows them by name, and and the thing is, like, I had a little bit of trouble like understanding what they were saying because they have like a very like thick British accent, and like even some of the conversation, I kind of understood what they're talking about, but it's like, all
Now I
right,
feel
whatever.
that yeah. Now I feel bad about the people when it comes to Australian accents, being like, "Yeah, I'm
Oh
so
yeah,
sorry." Like,
of course, right? Like people just won't understand this podcast at all, But
it's just gibberish for
yeah,
2 hours.
yeah, that's it.
But yeah, like
But yeah,
as you mentioned before, this movie's pretty minimal when it comes to cast. It's really like
hmm
Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft, her dad, bad guy, and the what is it, Daniel as her kind of like boat friend, and that's kind of really it. Very minimal, very like straight to the point type of thing. Which I don't mind. I feel like it's kind of refreshing instead of having like an extra person and an extra thing to go with. It's very straightforward in its approach, I guess.
yeah, and I think they kind of had to, just because, like, yeah, the whole concept of Lara saving all her friends, like in the game, while cool for a game, is a little bit like, all right, like we don't have time to put all this stuff, and our budget is quite, low. But yeah, like I actually like the bad guy, Matthias, played by Walter Goggins, because yeah, again, he kind of like from the get go, um, where he stands and like kind of what his moral like compass is from the beginning.
Yeah, it's very quick. Like it's no like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be friends with you and then be an asshole. It was more like, no, I'm gonna be an
Yeah,
asshole straight up, and that's what I liked about it. It was like a little bit more of a breath of fresh air instead of being like, and now I'm gonna betray you type of thing. I liked being like, no, this is what it is. Let me be the bad guy, and he plays a really good bad guy. I've seen this guy in a few movies before, but I once again, he's one of those guys where it's like, I've seen you, but I haven't really seen you in much, I guess.
yeah. Like it's like one of those faces that you recognize, but you don't know the like actor's name or something like that. Not to diminish the actor himself. He
Oh, yeah,
does act
he's
very
good. He's
well.
good. Even like Alicia Vikander as like I guess Lara Croft. Like obviously it's following the model of like the 2013 movie. I mean game, where it is like she's a little bit more vulnerable. She's kind of if she looks a lot more younger in comparison to something like Angelina Jolie's, which is more like the old PlayStation games, which are more like you're just unstoppable badass and just going through a rampage. And this like once again, Lara in this movie does get to that point where she does just randomly do some shit, but once again, she does stumble a bit. They get like so much of the game kind of right into the movie, especially when it comes to like her getting hurt and then she's moaning on the ground and gets hit and everything. I'm like, yeah, this feels like the game pretty much. She got that down
Yeah.
right.
There's a scene where she like you presumably assume this is the first time she kills someone, and it's quite like a intense scene, and you can imagine like somebody having to do this in order to survive and being in that position and how you feel. But like yeah, but at the same time it's like I have to move on, right? Like I can't just stick to dealing and wallowing in like the emotions of this. I have to like find my dad and I have to do this and blah blah blah. And meanwhile, like Matthias, he's a very believable villain. Like again, like he's been stuck on the island from memory for like 7 years or
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Um,
So it feels
trying
like that would drive someone insane regardless.
yeah, and like yeah, because he's essentially on this island to try and find the entrance to the tomb where the
Himiko.
Queen Himiko is. And obviously he's got like a bunch of slaves and people who've like washed up on the island to basically be a part of his like crew and dig up like the entrance. And obviously they haven't been able to find it. The reason why Lara Croft's father Richard is involved is because he tries to go to the island to try and find the tomb and kind of prevent people from accessing it. But yeah, with the advent of Lara Croft coming to the island, it kind of kickstarts everything again, because now Matthias kind of knows where the entrance is, and so the stakes are kind of back up inadvertently with her appearance there. But I think it is a pretty good adaptation of the game.
But we haven't even talked about if we actually like the movie, or what do we rate it as a movie. Yeah.
Like I think it hits. It's one of the and I guess people hear this all the time. Like it's a bit of a stereotype, like video game movies being bad, right? But I think this movie is like an average, right? It's like a 5-6. That's from me. Because while there are some things that I didn't like, for example, like there are all these times in the movie where they have Lara basically doing a bunch of puzzles, right? And the thing is, like when you're watching her doing the puzzle, it's supposed to at least give you the idea, like, oh, she's like really smart, or she's like really good at these puzzles, and that's maybe might help her later down the line with stuff that happens in the movie. But there's one particular puzzle just kind of threw me off, which was it was like a color puzzle. And she says it out loud, just like, oh, it's a color puzzle. It's like, why are there ancient Japanese societies putting color puzzles in their tombs, right?
It's
like,
it's the age-old question, like in Skyrim. It's like, it's an old tomb, but there's like flames lit on the torches, guys. It's like the suspension of disbelief, sort of. I thought like I thought it was more of a complaint when it's like when she's saying it out loud, I guess, for some people, like in certain ways, like yellow, blue, like. It's like kind of like don't do that. Like it reminds me of a certain movie that shall not be named that was like, it's salt. I'm like, thank you. It's once again, it's movies are a visual medium. You can show an idea of what something is without even saying it. But like I can understand saying it's a color puzzle because everyone else is in the room. But even then, as we were talking before, puzzle wise, it's like there's one other puzzle where like we as an audience can figure out, and I think you had a little bit more to touch upon of that idea.
Yeah. With the puzzle concept?
Well, in general, because that's the thing. I like the color puzzle, like in general. Like I liked when they finally get into the tomb in the film. I feel like it's pretty good. It's like a good adventure. It reminds me about Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and how there's like the 3 or 4 trials, and you got to think them out yourself. But there's like one puzzle at the start, which is I guess like a door one. And that one, once again, like we couldn't figure out because like we as an audience wouldn't know the context of it.
Yeah, it's like, so there's this puzzle which I think it's supposed to be equivalent to like a Rubik's Cube of some kind, right? And my thing about movies being a visual medium, if you're going to put like a puzzle in, it should at least some way be translated to where the audience can semi-participate in, right? Like you have the I forget what the movie's name is, but where Will Smith is looking to kind of sell a bunch of stuff, and he gets rich in the movie, and he, in order to get like a job
Pursuit of Happiness.
Pursuit of Happiness, yeah, that one.
You made it sound like it was a drug film. It's like he has to sell some stuff to get rich. I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and you immediately do, just like Google. If I wrote that into Google, Google would know which movie I'm talking about. But yeah, in the Pursuit of Happiness, he does like a Rubik's Cube. Now, a Rubik's Cube, at least to the audience, and they kind of explain like the premise of like, what is a Rubik's Cube? And it's like, yeah, you get all the colors on, equal on each side, right? Or like uniform on each side. At least that gives the audience like the ability to be like, okay, so that's how it works. Whereas in the movie, at least a color puzzle you can kind of follow. It just seemed like out of place and very like, I don't know, like immersion breaking for me. But a lot of the other stuff is like, okay, yeah, she's turning a bunch of things and that'll eventually open the stuff. It's like, okay, like it doesn't give like the audience like in the not necessarily the mind, but it's like you're not figuring out the puzzle along with her, and having that aha moment where it's just like, well, it might as well just be like a key she finds, and she uses the key to open like the door. It seems like a far more interesting thing to visually see rather than somebody turning a bunch of knobs or pulling a bunch of like pillars or whatnot.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's not like a huge gripe, but I think otherwise, like the movie overall, like as you said, like when they go into the tomb's pretty cool. Yeah, again, like because I did go with the supernatural aspect of the movie, you don't see like a lot of crazy things happening, like as you might see like in the game, but there are some pretty cool visuals. But overall, like I kind of felt like the movie, like from how it looked and like the acting was like from Alicia and Walter Giggins, like their acting were pretty good and I liked them, but the supporting cast was kind of like meh to okay. And yeah, that's why like I don't really see anything else that is much of like a standout for the film.
Yeah, like even when we're talking about it right now, it's like once again, there's like maybe one or two really cool set pieces, but aside from this, it's a pretty just run of the mill average film. Like it's like a 3 out of 5 type of thing, where it's like it exists, it can entertain you. There's some things wrong, but it's not like outstanding in a way. And like even on top of that, like it's made enough money that obviously I feel like there would definitely be an interest for a sequel for this film. Which once again I don't mind if they can improve on the formula and do maybe something even different. I know like this movie around the end does, I guess, kind of hint at a sequel like early 2000 films used to do, and then everyone stopped doing it. But it's doing it, and I obviously I wouldn't mind seeing another one. I guess is that a bad review or a good review? Who knows?
Well, I was gonna say, like again, as you were saying, like it's like a three or a 3 out of 5 stars. Like again, like the movie is like maybe slightly above average. I think it's more average. I think it probably goes to more of a 5. Like you're not gonna feel like you wasted your money going and seeing this movie, but you're not gonna be like, wow, this is like a masterpiece. Like I think I was more entertained from the original Tomb Raider film with Angelina Jolie.
See, it's been a long time since I watched that.
Yeah, like true. Maybe if I go back and watch it, it might have aged. But at least going from when I originally watched it, I was entertained by that film. But I don't know if you heard about like there was like Alicia Vikander apparently doesn't want to return for like a second film. So that's obviously like so because I remember hearing something about it. So like. Obviously, it's not a good sign, if the main actress doesn't want to kind of return to the,
maybe it's a bargaining tactic. Maybe
true.
Yeah, like once again, like good old Daniel Craig being like, I don't want to play James Bond again. He comes back. Don't want to play James Bond again. Comes back. I'm like, Jesus, dude.
Yeah, but at least he had like a few movies under his belt, right?
Yeah.
Like at least something to bargain with. I don't think Vikander kind of has that kind of pull as of yet. Like maybe if like it was like the second movie and it's like, all right, got to do the third movie to kind of
finish it all up, make it that trilogy box set standing look good.
Yeah, like I don't know, like she's in a few other movies, Jason Bourne, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., Ex Machina.
Yeah, she won an Oscar for that.
Yeah, like so she does have like good films that under her belt that at least I like. Obviously, I haven't watched like some of the films there, but I don't know if like I think she can maybe do better in terms of like because I actually really liked her in Man from U.N.C.L.E. I really love that movie in general, though. So
yeah, that movie was awesome.
Done right. But yeah, like with Tomb Raider, like if there's a sequel. Hopefully it's better, and maybe it'll like because I don't even remember the concept of Trinity or if it's ever explained in the other Tomb Raider movies. Like again, in the game, I don't think it's really there. I think like maybe in the sequel games, like you've played some of the newer Tomb Raider games. Correct?
And they build upon I guess Trinity and I guess their henchmen and what they're doing and what they're trying to do, and obviously the second game builds on another cliffhanger. That will go into the third game, which got announced and I think is coming out this year. I'm not quite sure, but I think I think it's supposed to come out this year or next year. And I'll play that. I'll play the shit out of that. I'll 100% it like I did all both new Tomb Raider games.
Well, Yeah. Speaking of which, I actually completed 100% Arkham Knight, so I was pretty happy about that myself.
Yeah.
But before we like move on to another topic, like do you have any final thoughts on Tomb Raider?
No, once again, I think it's pretty average. I say like it's like one of those things that you'd like just watch on Netflix or something. Like it's not really like spend your money on it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's probably a good way to finalize.